Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stay Hungry podcast. Today we've got Amy Bingham from Black and Blue Business and we're talking about accountability. Amy, I cannot believe it's been this long to get you on the podcast.
I know, it has been a while, but this is exciting.
This is wild, and this is it's the first in this setup that I've done a guest podcast face to face.
Okay.
I think the last person I did face to face is a guy called Shropshire Lad, and he's quite a famous chef now.
Wow, okay.
So you're following in his
It
footsteps.
seems so, yeah. I'll be as much of a lad as I possibly can.
He's not laddie, to be fair.
Okay.
Shropshire Lad is a famous poem,
Okay.
and then he's like coined the phrase or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, for the benefit of the uninitiated, who are you and what the hell are you doing on this podcast?
Absolutely, yeah. So as you said, I'm Amy. My business is Black and Blue Business. I've been through a journey with accountability, so it's a really exciting chance to have a chat about that today with you.
So I guess I think accountability is becoming one of those wanky terms like authenticity.
Yeah.
What do we mean by accountability?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a funny one, isn't it? Because it's almost overused, I think, a lot of the time, and it's used in the really wrong context. So I think most people understand it in terms of the sense of like it's a thing of owning up when you've done something wrong or apologising, recognising mistakes, which I think is definitely a facet of it.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it's a lot more than that.
Okay, yeah. So like one of our company values is own your shit.
Yep.
Which is meant to encompass accountability.
Definitely.
So it's not just about apologising when you've done something wrong, it's about taking full ownership of that situation.
Yeah.
Or like if we were to take on a client, taking accountability for the result.
Yeah.
So which is actually going above and beyond, because very often people don't pay us for the result that they want, they pay us for marketing.
Yeah.
So in the true terms of accountability, why is it so important to you?
It's important to me because for me, it's not just about what you're doing day to day now or what your functions are in your life at this moment, but it's about playing a bigger game, and it's about pushing yourself to function as the individual that you truly are. And I'm not really a fan of the kind of higher self terminology that we hear a lot. I think that's perhaps a little bit reductionist to who you are now. It's not higher or lower, I wouldn't say.
What does that mean? Sorry.
Reductionist?
No, the bit before that, the higher self rhetoric.
You kind of hear that all the time on Instagram, in the sense that it's like, you know, are you living up to your higher self? You know, I think a lot of the time it's like conjuring up images of like Greek islands and floaty white dresses and stuff and being all calm and serene all the time. Exactly, it's all that stuff. And yeah, I just kind of resent the term higher. But yeah, it's just about, are you doing as much in this moment as you can? And not just about, you know, being super busy all the time, but about, are you utilising the time that you've been given?
So you mentioned something that you do earlier today when we were chatting, actually. Was it a VO sheet?
VTO.
VTO sheet.
Yeah.
In terms of accountability, that is epic. So
Yes.
talk me through it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an incredible document. So one of the ways that we work with clients is through a system called EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, commonly known more in the UK under the Book of Traction, or Get a Grip. And the VTO, it stands for Vision Traction Organizer. And what that's about is effectively it's a 2-page document to document effectively the 1 to 10 year trajectory of your business, all the main things you need. What are your core values? Who are you marketing to? What are you promising? What's the guarantee? And what do you want at a 10, 3 and 1 year point in your business? Not just, you know, pie in the sky, but looking at what do you need to be measuring to ensure that you get there. It's an absolutely phenomenal document.
Yeah, and obviously you hold yourself accountable to it.
Yeah, you know, you're committing to every quarter, checking back in with that document, tracking progress, recreating for that quarter your rocks, which is like the big sexy goal that's going to get you to the growth, not just the day-to-day stuff. And it keeps all of your annual goals in one place, rather than just setting something and then forgetting about it and then running wild.
And I guess in the wishy-washy world of social media,
Yeah.
this is called intention setting.
I suppose,
And some people call it manifesting.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You can't make something happen unless you can envision it.
No.
Which is actually accountability, but no one thinks of it like that. So
Yeah.
something I found in my life, so without going into too much detail, I had some difficult behaviours due to trauma and whatnot. And it took me until my 30s to realise that I had to take accountability for that.
Yeah.
Because in my head it was someone else's fault that I was like that.
Yeah.
But accountability has been probably the single greatest asset to me in the last 3 years of business, which is when we've seen our most significant growth.
Yeah.
How has accountability affected your life?
Oh God, so big. I think I'm going to say the last year of my life as well. And having my daughter definitely played a lot into that, in the sense of that you're no longer just responsible for yourself, you're responsible for somebody else. And particularly when you have a vision of how you want that somebody else's life to start, you have to make that happen, because obviously they're not going to. So I think it really changed for me when it dawned on me that I had a responsibility to live out the strengths that I have to their fullest potential. And it's not just a chance. It's not just like a thing, oh, I probably could do that. It'd be nice. I'd have a better life if I did. For me, it's actually a responsibility. Like, I have to, for myself, for her, for the people on my team, for our clients, like literally for everybody. Because I think that's the level to which we need to show up.
I love that. I find it really, I mean, look, you and I get on well because we come at this from the same angle, but I used to have like a thing, sort of a natural thing to blame myself for stuff, like almost like, oh God, like why did you let that happen? And now I've kind of flipped that, and it's like take control of everything instead. But it's not like in a control freak sense, it's in a like empowering sense.
I think control's almost become a bit of a dirty word these days, which I think is a really bad thing. Because we're wired to want control, and of course you can have too much. You can want too much control. I'm not sure whether you can ever have too much control, but to be able to be accountable for something, you've got to be able to control at least your bit.
Yeah, and I think that's the self accountability bit, the self control bit, 100%. Where like that, I made a couple of decisions 2 years ago. With a view to achieving some things that everybody around me thought was mental. So like,
I hear that.
So one was I wanted to meet Gary Vaynerchuk. The other was that I wanted to get the business to stable 7 figures. They were kind of the two things, and within 9 months of setting the intention, I'd achieved both.
That's amazing.
Just through self-accountability. And I would say a lot of the things that I had to do to achieve them, people would have stopped me from doing if I hadn't have set the vision. How about for you? Because like, I guess for the listeners, you had a successful fitness business.
I did.
COVID happens.
It did.
And all businesses suffered. Like it was like someone turned off the lights basically. From an outside view, in your insane mind, you decided that in the week that you were giving birth, you were going to drop your successful business and start again from scratch. Discuss,
exactly. So it was growing minimum of 50% year on year the whole time, and then COVID came. We were in and out of the gym 4 times, and the world, particularly I think in the fitness industry, was completely changed with the advent of global competition as opposed to local, and hybrid models, and then people's tastes changed and marketing. It just all changed, and we kind of took a hit when the gym shut, built it back up. That happened 4 times, and I thought, do I really want to keep on doing this thing? Do I want to put the energy I've got into remodeling this business effectively, or do I want to take from it the things that I love, things that I'm really good at, and start again as such with that and push that? And I decided, as you say, 3 days before Rogue turned up, that's what I was going to do. And in a way, I really see her as like a what's the word, like a slate cleaner, if you will, like saying, actually, no, that course has ended now, that life has ended, and your life is going to go on a different trajectory now. So I don't think I would have made that decision as bluntly as I did if I did not have her waiting in the wings. So yeah, that was a week. That was a real I can't think about it now, and it's like, yeah, as you said, people doing things that people think are totally mental.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I told anybody at the time. I would have told my husband, but I don't think I told other people. I was just like, it was just this real moment of, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
See, that's a thing in itself. Like a lot of entrepreneurs listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
Feeling not ashamed. I don't know if it is ashamed, but some of the things that we vision for ourselves, we don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
It's a great question. I think there is an element of shame in it, as much as it can feel shameful sometimes to admit that you experience shame. I think it's a concern, isn't it, of saying you want this thing and then not getting it and then being proven wrong in inverted commas. I think that's some of it for me.
I don't get that with you.
Do you not?
I like, if you tell me you're going to do something, I 100% believe you.
Yeah,
And I also think you 100% believe yourself.
I do.
So I don't think that's where your shame comes from. Now, like, I'm being a bit rude, but
Be rude.
and I think this applies to me too.
Yeah.
What about, is it that it's just not very British to be ambitious and set lofty goals because people think you're a cock?
Tell you what, it's hilarious actually say that, because I was chatting to a team member of a client that have a foreign office the other day, and I was explaining to her the stereotype of British culture is still very much alive and well, and a lot of that is kind of somewhat intentionally sabotaging people if they're doing well, or just generally being like really weird about anybody being successful. Yeah. Who do you think you are and all that kind of stuff. It's so much more alive here than it is in the US. So I think anyone with real kind of US influence stands out massively.
Yeah, lift people up, don't drag them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not here right now.
So I like sometimes my family listen to this, but I refrain from telling my family all my intentions because either they worry a lot because it's outside of my comfort zone, but I'm okay with that. But it's miles outside of their comfort zone, or they just think I'm a bellend.
Yeah, like I think when I first embarked down like the entrepreneurial route, I made a commitment to myself to remove as many negative influences as I could. And so if I've got a good idea that if I say something, I'm just going to get, oh yeah, but you're too expensive, or, you're never going to do that. You've got a baby now, that kind of stuff. I'm just like, well, I'm not even going to have the conversation. I will tell you when I've... Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, please. I will tell you when I'm done. And I expect you that you won't believe me at that point. And I will still get shit for it at that point. But I've done it now, so it's not vulnerable anymore. I wanted to remove the vulnerabilities because I'm aware that could become one.
It's interesting. No, I love that. But isn't it interesting that we're saying that we want to be accountable, and in order to be accountable for your vision, people need to know about it, right?
I know.
And yet, it's very hard sometimes to tell people what you actually intend to do.
It's getting easier. I think for the first time, and I've just done this literally last week, I've shared this coming year, because we run a May to May financial year, I've shared the VTO with the team. So they all now know our financial target for this year, and I've never done that before. I would have felt like the team would look at me and be like, God, what on earth are you thinking? Like, or in terms of like, oh well, yeah, but you're going to benefit from all that money, and what's going to be in it for us? Whereas now I'll share it with them because they need to know, and they've all got a commission structure built in. So if they bring in a lead, they get to share in that revenue as well, because I feel like it's got to be everybody's. So that was what kind of helped me to make the leap, was making that available.
We've got it printed on a poster on the wall in the room that the staff's in.
Nice.
So this is what we're pointing at. If you don't like it, get off the bus.
Well, yeah, I love that. I think that's really cool.
And it's they wouldn't work here if they didn't like it. It's like it's not like if you don't like it, get off the bus. Although, in terms of accountability, we have had in the history of Codebreak, we've had 2 meetings that are are historically labelled as on the bus meetings, which is you can't. You have to be on the bus. You're not the driver. I'm the fucking driver, or Andy, depending what mood we're in.
Yeah.
You've got to be on the bus. You can't be getting on the bus. No. You can't be hanging onto the bus. You can't be in a car behind the bus. Yeah. You're on the bus or fuck off. And Evie is the only remaining member of staff from the last on the bus meeting.
That's hilarious. I mean, I guess people are always going to get on and off the bus, aren't they?
Yeah, and like, we're a fast progressing company, and things have shifted a lot from when we started. And I think, and some people just naturally moved on with our blessing, and like, you know, it's amazing. There's nothing better as an employer, not necessarily as an entrepreneur, but as an employer, to see someone flourish and move on to better things for them. Sure. Heartbreaking as an entrepreneur, because they're taking that skill set and giving it to someone else. But it's fascinating when like you want that accountable buy-in, and someone turns around and they're like, "Oh, this isn't what I signed up for." It can be tough, which comes back to the whole not telling your family and your friends your vision. Yeah. Like if I told you over lunch today, I have every intention of buying my football team. Yeah. I mean it. No, and I feel really fired up about it. Yeah. Now, the main sponsor of that football team are a marketing agency on the other side of this business park. So it'll be fucked up when this goes public for people to start hearing that I've set this intention. Yeah. Like, it's weird, and it's a very un-Shropshire thing to do. But my logic behind it is, there isn't much in Shropshire for people. Like, it's quite a rural, agricultural based historic county. We don't have much to look forward to here. I think the football club is a tremendous pillar for the community that can do a lot of good. Yeah. So, like, you've got outreach to schools, you've got outreach to mental health, you've got the community side, you've got all the stuff you can do with youth football, with disabled football. You've got the fact that it's a hub for the community, you can host events there, all these things that at the moment, as I see it, it just doesn't capitalise on that. I'm sure the people there are doing everything they possibly can, but I just had that marketing mind of like, this is what I can do. But unless I hold myself accountable to that vision, it won't happen. Yes. But for me to be accountable to that vision, I need to start thinking like a 9-figure business owner, not a 7-figure business owner. Yes. And fuck, that is wild. So like for you, you're starting from scratch a year ago. You're now operating like a 7-figure business owner and working with 8 and 9-figure business owners. How did you do that?
I think 2 things stand out for me. I think the biggest thing is exposure. So, you know, the thing of like, you're the sum of the 6 people you spend the most time with. I don't think that counts as like just the people that you hang out with physically. I think it's the people that you hang out with virtually as well. So just getting exposure to people that are doing better than me in every capacity. You know, on social media, I don't really follow my friends too much. I mean, I do, but that's not why I'm on social media. I'm on social media to hang out with Grant Cardone, people like that, you know, straight up. Hopefully one day. Oh my God, I would die.
You'll be like nearly as annoying as me with Gary.
Oh, I'd be so annoying. I'll have a competition trying out annoy you with that one. But yeah, just curating that exposure with everybody and just not being afraid to call people if they're not a fit.
Have I told you about the annual cull?
No, you haven't.
I have an annual cull.
Nice.
Where I go through my socials and basically, I don't necessarily unfriend you, but I'll unfollow you so you don't know it's happened. But basically, if you don't either bring positivity towards me, so it doesn't have to serve my vision, I think that's a bit egotistical, but if you don't add something, or you're not a close relative, you're on the hit list. Yeah. And I do that, tends to be every time I go on holiday.
Oh, yeah, because
like holiday clear out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get you.
I love it.
I love stuff like that. Like, I don't necessarily have an annual process like that, but I am really fine with departing from relationships if they're not right.
Yeah.
I would genuinely rather just be me than be surrounded by people that are not. You know, I've spent enough time with people that are not a fit for the truth of myself and what I want. So
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
I think entrepreneurs get that, but before you start thinking of yourself as an entrepreneur, and I still struggle with that because I hate the term.
yeah, same.
You spend most of your life trying to fit in. Like, that's what society tells you to do.
That's what most people are doing right now. Yeah.
So if someone says something that's by society's standards is meant to be funny, the people that want to fit in will all laugh and walk towards that person. Me, being an idiot that I am, will be like, that wasn't very funny.
I've kind of always been that person. I mean, like, I've been vegetarian for like how long now? 27 years.
Yeah.
And
before it was fashionable.
Oh god, yeah, I was like 4. You know, like, and then I feel like the COVID times were a real watershed for that, and I feel like some people have kind of separated themselves in terms of actually I'm going to do my thing and choose my thing, and I'm not just talking about vaccination or anything like that. I'm talking about lots of things, and then other people have gone really deeper and deeper into the sheep mentality, and I feel like that chasm is widening.
It's weird, isn't it? There's a division in society anyway at the moment, like very much highlighted through COVID, but Brexit would be another example. Trump, Farage, Putin. There's fucking loads of it. Like veganism, stop oil, all like different things. And I find it really interesting that when you're not accountable for your behaviour, what people seem to think is acceptable is to assume that they're 100% right and that everyone else is wrong.
Interesting, yeah, that's an interesting point.
Where like entrepreneur mindset must be, I can't be 100% right, there's always more to learn.
Yeah. And I think, from that learning mindset, being actually able to research and justify and back up decisions that you make with consciousness rather than just doing what everybody else is doing, like, that's the thing. And also believing in something enough to like go to war for it because you're back, you know, you're all in with that thing. I think most people aren't really all in with anything.
I'll be honest now, like I'm a very all-in person to the point that it makes people uncomfortable. But I'm not very all in on anything specific anymore. Really? There's very few things that I'm all in on. Because I'm not convinced the information I'm fed is legit.
Interesting.
I used to like be really political, and now I try not to bother myself with it because I don't think I can gain anything.
So I don't engage in anything like that.
I think it's a waste of energy basically. Unless I'd be willing to go and stand in front of Westminster and do something about it. Which I'm not. So why am I winding myself up?
No, I get you.
Although I guess that there's been a few points in recent history where I've thought there's so much injustice here. Maybe it would take someone like me to actually fucking do something about this.
Maybe.
But then I'm like, is that arrogance or is that like...
No, I don't think so. I mean, I guess you have to look at the level at which you're going to fight that thing. For me, I'm kind of always fighting mini battles, if you will, but I fight them in terms of the situations in front of me, rather than trying to deal with the big one, because I feel like that's more powerful. I really do.
Well, that's kind of where I am, is like pick your battles, because I actually don't think politics exists anymore. I think you're fighting the media, and and you're fighting massive conglomerates that basically fund politics. It's not, you wouldn't be going to war with liberal or Tory values. You would be going to war with the mainstream media and all of the pharmaceutical companies, and like it'd be like fucking hell, I've just literally ruined my family's life. I probably shouldn't have done that.
It's very complicated, isn't it?
Hard to be accountable in that scenario.
It's very hard to be accountable in that scenario.
Because you're not standing up for your own beliefs. That's tough.
Tell you what, the biggest accountability thing for me is witnessing my toddler literally copy what I do. She's got a lunch bag now, obsessed with it. And she picked it up the other day and she was carrying this lunch bag in the exact same way that I'm aware I carry my handbag. Picked up her phone the other day and goes, "Hi." And just like...
So she's going to be blunt and scary.
Yeah. She gets food off strangers. Like, she will persuade strangers to give them her food.
You told me this before. I don't understand what you mean.
So someone will be sat with like chips or something, and she'll go up to them and stand in front of them, and she'll hold her finger out and go, "Ta, ta," and that means that. That means I want that.
Doesn't ta mean thank you?
Not derogi. No, it means like is that, because you can't do that. You know, that's quite hard. So like, ta, 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 ta. And she'll just keep going, and she'll get a little bit closer. She'll say it a little bit louder, a little bit more insistent, a bit of a frown. And you know, the stranger, it normally takes three goes, and the stranger will part with their chips.
Does she want to work on commission?
She honestly, she is good. I'm biased. She is going to be quite something. She's doing that 18 months old.
I'm into it.
So am I. I learn stuff from her every single day.
You know that like childish enthusiasm, which I'm not sure at 18 months is a thing. Probably is. I guess like, does everyone have that drummed out of them except for entrepreneurs?
I think so.
And like, actually, the caveat, also Zoom manager. My wife's a Zoom manager for the listeners, but she is living the dream of every child. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, you do meet babies and like toddlers. They're very unenthusiastic. Like the really like spuddy ones that are just there, like it just seems like they're not awake all the time. But then they are awake, but they're just not.
you say spuddy,
I did.
and I assume you mean like they're like a potato.
Yeah, they're quite podgy and they look tired already, and they're like 3 months old. Just be carried around.
Like Freddie Flintoff as a baby. He was spuddy.
Yeah, they just look really tired.
Like when a baby is egg shaped, is that what we're saying?
Exactly. And they're just
So fucking hell, life has done you an injustice
already.
Yeah.
They're not doing much. Like some people get babies and they just like lie around the whole time, and the person's like, "Oh my god, having a baby is so great and it's so easy." I got the opposite one of that, like the one that wanted to do everything all the time, which is exactly like me, because that's what you get. You know, you get your stuff reflected back.
Yeah, like I've got a restless brain.
Yeah,
So like if I was to have a kid, which probably the reason I'm not going to, would be, it would just be impossible to keep this kid entertained.
Yeah, I'm very impatient.
And like impossible to explain anything to them. Because they question it further, to the point where I wouldn't know the answer, and then I'd get annoyed.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty impatient, which I credit as a strength a lot of the time, but yeah, definitely see that
Like I think
with her.
my mum, given we had a tricky circumstance anyway, but I reckon raising me would have been a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, we've got our parents through the ringer for sure.
Yeah, like I questioned everything. And like I was smart as well, so sometimes I questioned things knowing I knew a better answer.
Oh my god.
Like that's annoying,
That's
right?
next level.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a bit psycho, but
Yeah.
but like, it's horrible when you reach that stage, like in terms of accountability. So like I didn't like grow up in an environment where people really held themselves accountable for their actions. I grew up in an environment where people blamed others for their actions.
Yes.
So like, as most people do.
100%.
So like, oh, fucking government, fucking NHS,
Yeah.
or like bloody local councils, there's potholes everywhere, or
Yeah.
whatever it would be. Like, oh god, the farmer's out there shooting rabbits again, whatever. Like, just weird things. Like on a really like micro scale. Like, my nan to this day stands at her front gate blaming the neighbours for all of the world's wrongs. She loves the neighbours. It's just a really weird thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, so like if it starts raining, she'd be like, "Jean said it was going to be sunny today." Just like, fucking Jean.
Yeah.
And like that really impresses on you. And then I buck the trend, and I'm like, "Don't worry, I'll sort it." And they're like, "What do you mean you'll sort it?" I'm like, "Well, I'll get you a coat now."
Yeah.
She's like, "Jean said it was going to be sunny." I was like, "Well, it's not, so I'm going to get you a coat."
Yeah.
and like they don't handle that well. Like
No.
if accountability is not your thing, it's quite.
Oh.
It's like shining a light on someone that doesn't want the light on them.
100%. Yeah, I think people want the problem a lot of the time, even if they don't.
Wallowers.
Yeah.
Loads of wallowers.
I feel like we've come so far from our natural, like, tendencies as humans, because I feel like we're designed to be exceptionally adaptable. That's why we're still here, you know, that we've managed to do that.
And like we live in parts of the world we're not meant to live in. Like it's fucking dark all winter here, and no wonder we all feel like shit.
Well, that's it, you know, like we are adaptable beings, we're resourceful beings, but then we're acting like spuddy, you know. Yeah. The spuddy one. It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like the more we align with like the way we're supposed to be, the happier we are. But we're in such a state of resistance to that.
Yeah, I you know, being self-accountable, I don't exercise as much as I should, but when I do, I feel better.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
We're just designed in a certain way, and I think we're so resistant to our design that we're almost trying to like trump ourselves.
Yeah. And like anxiety, for example, is the brain's way of essentially dealing with the idea that every time you leave the cave, you might get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, which is reasonable in that perspective.
Yeah, but the problem is that we've all still got that level of anxiety, but we don't live in that environment anymore.
Yeah.
And so, but people aren't willing to take accountability for their emotion.
Exactly, and then I think it gets pathologized.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time pathologizing things is a way to escape, perhaps unintentionally, the responsibility for dealing with that situation. No one's thinking, you know, I don't want to, you know, whatever, do anything about this. They're thinking that's the right route, but we're encouraging that as a society, and that's really disempowering people.
Yeah. So like, I don't mind sharing this. I think it's a good way to share it. I've had severe mental health issues like depression and anxiety to the point of being suicidal.
Yeah.
The only person that could truly really do anything about it was me.
Yeah.
That's a serious level of accountability.
Yeah,
That's like, it's like live or die shit.
Yeah.
It's like really, like if you've not gone through it, you're lucky as a listener. I'm really grateful that you've not had to feel that. If you have gone through it, you either really understand what I'm saying right now, or you haven't reached the point where you've taken that level of accountability yet, and I hope you get there. But my dad, on the other hand, has never taken accountability for his mental health, and he has even worse mental health issues than I ever did. And so because he doesn't have the ability to take accountability, well, he probably does, but the longer he's left it, the less able he will ever be to be accountable. It's got worse, and and I think that, I don't know what the word is, pathologization, of it, has actually given everyone an excuse not to do anything about it.
100%. You know, when I had my daughter and I was really struggling afterwards in terms of, you know, I would say it's more than mental health. It's like my existence. I think I would go as far as to say that for myself.
But I think like when you have true mental health issues, that's what it feels like. Whereas like having a little bit of anxiety is different.
It's different.
Yeah.
And people will sort of say, oh, you know, just go to the doctor and get some antidepressants. And I'm just like, no. Just no. Like, for me, obviously that will work for some people, sure. But, like, for me, that wasn't dealing with what was going on. Like, it was as if, like, by taking the medication and just taking the medication, it's, like, validating I have a problem and I just need to take medication to deal with the problem. It's like, no, the problem is me, and the problem is things that I'm doing and thinking. And, you know, dealing with the grief of the death, really, of my previous life. And it was dealing with that was the way through, rather than the drugs.
I agree.
Yeah.
And ironically, I take antidepressants every day.
Do you?
So,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest about the situation, because I guess, and I say this in my socials, that if me saying this helps anyone, then it's worth saying.
Yeah.
But I was suicidal,
Yeah.
newly married,
Yeah.
got responsibilities, staff,
Yes.
and I couldn't get control of that situation. I still showed up for every meeting, every bit of work I needed to do, and never let anybody down, because I just wouldn't do that. But every time I went to sleep at night, I didn't want to wake up in the morning, and it wasn't fair on my wife. So I had, in my view, had to do something dramatic, which was to get on medication. Now, there's a strong argument now with the fact that my nutrition's better, my diet's better, my mental health's better, business is in a great place. You know, I haven't had an anxiety or depressive episode for 2 years. That I perhaps shouldn't be on that medication. I now have a whole world of accountability to look at, where it's like, I know that every time I broach a subject with my wife, it strikes absolute fear into her, because she's like, I remember what you were like before you were taking that stuff, and it was fucking ugly, and the rest of the world didn't have to see it.
That makes total sense.
But, and she won't mind me sharing this, she's very recently come off the contraceptive pill, not because we're planning to have kids or anything, because it was making her feel like shit.
It does,
And now she feels great. And I said, well, look up what you were taking and look up what I'm taking. They're not that dissimilar. I feel like you felt, but I don't want to kill myself. And it's just a fascinating thing that, like, so many people are unable to take accountability for their emotions or their mental health or their physical health. And then they're leaning on another excuse. Now, I don't lean on my medication as an excuse. It was an emergency. So you know, if I broke my leg, I'd put it in a cast. It was an emergency situation. But that comes up all the time in, like, personal life, business life, that people will turn around and be like, that's not my fault, or oh, that's a side effect of this, or it's like, well, step up. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but
I think the fault word's a funny one, isn't it? Because if we get stuck on that word, you know, you're probably right. It's not your fault. You haven't done anything to deserve what is happening. But it is happening.
that's
and
it,
and now you have a choice as to whether you accept that or whether you do something about it. And that's a bloody hard choice. And often you will go around in circles with making that choice and then bailing on it and then make it again a little bit stronger and then bail on it. I feel, you know, I can definitely relate to that. But yeah, not getting stuck on fault.
And that's interesting. Like, business-wise and personal, horrible shit will happen to you throughout your life. Like, it's inevitable. The good news is lots of nice things will happen to you as well. But as much as you claim credit for the nice things, you also need to claim control of the horrible things.
Yes, I love the way you said that. Claim control. I feel like we need to, like, reclaim the word control. Like, it's just been such a dirtied word, and I think control is it. Control and accountability, like, go hand in hand.
Like, you know, in business, you can very much come in on a Monday morning, open your laptop, an email lands, and it's your direct debit system saying that someone unexpected has bounced a payment. So you could have had a payment bounce for 14 grand over the weekend. You can shit yourself and start like swearing at the wall and breaking stuff, or you can take control of the situation and be like, right, we're going to have a 14 grand hole in the bank this month. What are we doing about it? And 9 out of 10 of the business owners I meet do the first thing. They just like shout and swear and go to the pub and get pissed. And then 1 out of 10, like eye of the tiger type business owners are just like, right, fuck you, world, I'm going to go make 28 grand now to like show you.
Definitely. I think, can't remember who it was, but somebody once said to me that being in business is like a full contact blood sport, and I would definitely agree. Having never played a full contact blood sport, but no, I haven't. Sorry, I played rugby once and I got bitten.
You got bitten?
I got bitten. I came off with a bite mark. I know who it was. So weird. Wow. I know. Yeah, I've never been in a fight. I've never done any kind of blood sport. I've
Never been in a fight?
never been in a fight. Loads of people said to me that I should do MMA.
No, you shouldn't.
No, I shouldn't.
If you've never been in a fight and never done any contact sports, MMA would be a terrible thing to take up.
I've never had a broken bone. Not about to start.
You've never had a broken bone?
No, not a single one. Not even a finger.
Oh, I've had so many broken bones.
Yeah, so I feel like it's a bold choice to be in business, and you are going to get hit by some additional shit.
Yeah, but I like it.
Well, yeah, we both do, obviously. We'll be here.
Well, I don't know. Some people are glutton for punishment, but they're wallowers. But like,
This is true.
but yeah, like you have to be a savage, and I'm not saying like I don't mean a savage like destroy everyone else and you're like horrible and like just like you've got to be a getter. Like you've got to be like right, I'm coming after life. Like life's not dictating to me what happens. I'm dictating to life what happens.
Yeah, you got to have some fucking teeth, you know, like. Like comes back to the being a real human thing. I think for me, we're not supposed to like just sit there and like wait for somebody else's hand to come and like pass us something.
You know, like I guess like in films is probably the best reference we have because we can't go and look at like historical figures or like what was Julius Caesar like or whatever sort of thing. But like you know when there's like men or women in films who are quite calm, a little bit icy I would say, but they've got an aura. There's like a
That's the dream.
yeah, it's that like fucking hell, I would not mess with this person.
That's the dream.
But there's nothing horrible about them.
No.
Yeah.
It's just that innate sense of power and control that you can pick up through some kind of sense that we have that we don't name.
Yeah, I mean, I got picked up on this. I went on a business retreat this year to Marbella, and one of the coaches took me to one side and he said, like, "You're incredibly powerful." He was like, "But your temptation is to act like a clown."
Interesting.
And he said, "Lean into the power, not the humour."
Interesting.
And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Well, when you're calm and sat there and considered," he's like, "you're fucking dangerous."
Yeah.
And I was like, it really hit me hard because like humour's always been my like way to deflect attention and to like self-preservation and stuff. You know, like you get picked on at school, you crack a joke, everyone leaves you alone, sort of thing. Or like if you get better at bullying than the bully, you can like destroy them with humour. Like, oh yeah, that's not what your mum said last night, kind of thing. Mature.
Fair.
But that like level of accountability to your own behaviour where you're like actively making the decision on how you're going to react in a scenario before you react, being calm enough to take a breath and be measured when everyone else is screaming and shouting, that's mega powerful.
That's the route. 100%. That's the route to it. Yeah.
I guess like the vision for that is like imagining a boardroom where everyone's going ape shit, and you're sat there completely calm, ready to say your thing.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, you know, through what we do, through the EOS structure, we facilitate a type of meeting called the L10, which means level 10. So it's like we're not showing up for like level 1 moaning, bitching, griping stuff. We're showing up for like the real deal, the big stuff. 100%. We're there for like what are the things that are going to stop us from hitting this big sexy goal, and the meetings where the emotion runs away are the least productive of all of them. It's the ones where everyone's like, you know, they're talking about difficult stuff. It's not easy things, but when everyone's able to keep the emotion in check, that's when the good decisions are made, the good solutions come out.
We had one of those, like we didn't call it that, we had one of those just before Christmas. So like, without naming names, we had to let go of a member of the team just before Christmas. And Andy said to me in what would have been an L10 meeting, because it was a joint decision, but just because of how I emotionally felt about the situation, like So do you want to deliver the news or shall I? And I was like, I've got to deliver it. And he said, why? I was like, because if I'm going to stab someone, I'm stabbing them in the front.
Yeah.
And like, it's tough, right? Like that level of business.
Yeah.
Where you've got to be completely accountable to the point where you've got to do something you don't really want to do.
Yeah.
Is hardcore.
Yeah. You're responsible for curating that environment. And for me, I always look, what is the cost of having that person or that thing, whatever it is around, that is detrimental to those that are aligned.
Yeah.
I think we miss that so often as a culture. We focus on the outcome for the person or the thing that's being disruptive to the general process, as opposed to those that, they suffer. It's that opportunity cost. I feel like as a nation in the UK, we forget about opportunity cost.
That is literally from the government down.
Yeah.
There's in my lifetime, I can't think of anything that's been done where we've all gone, bloody hell, that's a good idea. We're going to benefit. We're going to benefit from that for years.
No, you're absolutely right. I don't think I've ever heard anyone ever say that.
Maybe hosting the Olympics. I think that was a good shout that everyone agreed with.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Nearly everyone. Yeah.
That's quite funny, actually.
But just like, I can't think of anything where they've gone, we've put this strategy in place, and the long, because obviously politics is 5-year cycles, so they don't do anything for the long term. So the long term benefit to the country is going to be so significant that you're all going to get behind it.
No.
It doesn't happen, and then that filters down into society, because people who become high level managers in businesses, in their head they're like, right, well, if I want to go up in the world, I'm only going to be here 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm only going to make short-term decisions, and it's not accountable.
That's a really interesting point, actually. There's a real absence of leadership, isn't there? I mean, the only place I can really think to see leadership is in the military, and that's not perfect.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is manufactured leadership.
Do you think?
Because it has to be, right? Like, you're asking people to do things that they don't really want to do.
Yeah.
So it's quite hardcore.
Yeah.
I've had to really work hard to seek mentors that are true leaders, because I don't think there are many out there.
No.
I do like spending time with people that inspire me though, that are like leaders of people.
Yeah.
And I'd put you in that bracket.
Oh,
but we've got a couple of clients that I think are going to do some crazy shit. I'm fortunate to mastermind in some circles now where I meet people and I'm like, okay, you're actually changing the world.
Yeah.
This is so much more than putting on a maypole dance for the Shrewsbury May Day Festival. And it just makes me think bigger.
Yeah.
You meet people and I'm like I don't know, I've said the Shrewsbury Town one now, but I guess my biggest vision was to get to 7 figures.
Yeah.
And I don't even care about money. I don't know what the 7-figure thing was. I just think when I was a kid, like Scrooge McDuck, and
Got it. Yeah.
£1 million is a lot of money. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But now I meet people and they're like, oh yeah, I'm nowhere near where I need to be. I'm like, you've got £250 million in the bank. What do you mean you're nowhere near where you want to be? Oh, I can't impact 1 billion people with that. I've got more to go.
Yeah.
Wow, that level of accountability is shit.
Yeah,
Or a guy who's been on the podcast, John Paul, he's just set off to do 6 marathons in 6 continents in 60 days or something.
Jesus. Wow.
And I'm like, he doesn't need to. He's just doing it to hold himself accountable to life. And I'm like, what the? In terms of the level I'm operating at, and then I see some of these people, and I'm just like, okay, there's a much bigger game to play here.
That's it, I love what you just said, he's doing it to hold himself accountable to life.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a responsibility to live.
Yeah. That's cool.
And so there's a brand called, have you heard of a brand called Through Dark?
Yeah.
It's the S-Guys brand. And Oh, are they? And they have a postcard. I bought my husband one of their coats for his birthday as a postcard, and then it's talking about. Yeah, he is. Yeah, um, talking about the responsibility you have if you own a body to like make the most of that body, and I just like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on that at the moment. It's tough.
Yeah, it's
It's
not
tough.
easy.
But like, on the point that you said, like you've got a responsibility to life.
Yeah.
I obviously, when you're suicidal, you completely lack purpose. You're
Yes.
like at the point of like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
And like to people that have never experienced it, imagine it's not about feeling sad. Like
No.
like it's like feeling devoid of anything.
Yes, empty.
Everything's gone.
Yeah.
And a really sort of a way to create purpose in your life is like gratitude, is to be like, fuck, like I need to be more accountable to life. Like I need to be more grateful for the fresh air, for the smell of the flowers, for like the sound of the kettle boiling, the dog scratching at the door, like just all these little things. And so that's what I taught myself, was like get accountable to being present, so listen to the kettle boil. Get accountable to responsibility, so rather than thinking about big responsibility like the number of staff you've got, it's like the dog needs 2 walks a day. Get accountable to it. Like build up all these things, and then you start holding yourself accountable to life. Now JP, who's doing these marathons, he's coaching 8 and 9 figure business owners on how to be accountable. He can't do that unless he can demonstrate that he's been more accountable than them.
True.
So he's like, yeah, well, I've fucking run a marathon in Antarctica. What have you done?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
totally.
like,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's amazing.
so in terms of accountability and how you work with people, what would be like 2 or 3 things that you get people doing early doors to hold themselves to a standard?
Definitely, yeah. So I think the biggest thing is we talked about it earlier, really, is knowing where you want to get to and getting clarity, and that's where that VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer document, is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because even if you think you know where you're going, like you said, you had the 7-figure goal, but what exactly does that look like?
Yeah.
How many clients is that? Who do you need in the team to deliver that? What systems do you need to set up, etc. So getting really clear on what that looks like practically, as well as what you want kind of more esoterically. That's really, really fundamental. The next thing is really taking ownership of your time. Yeah. Banning the B word, busy. I hate that word. Everyone's busy, it's like...
In the fucking title, we're all in business.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's really funny.
Look, I should fucking hope so. That's the next thing I say to people.
This is true. Yeah, this is true. I like that. So getting really accountable with your time, and not making excuses around just doing loads of crap, and not doing crap for other people as well that is not beneficial to you in any way. Getting out of that kind of toxic helping everybody thing before you've actually built anything.
Let's talk about that. That toxic helping everybody thing before you've actually helped yourself. I think that's what you just said. What do you mean?
So I mean, so I was talking about it actually earlier. I'm going to use the coaching world as an example. There are so many business coaches out there who
haven't got their shit together, but they're telling everyone else how to do it.
Yeah, like they haven't had a successful business. They haven't, the worst ones, the ex-corporate ones, or the leadership coaches that are ex-corporate middle management. I mean, please show me, an example of corporate middle management that was working on a leadership level. I've not seen it. I don't even know what that is. I don't really understand it. It's really confusing.
Immediate alarm bell for me is when someone says, when I worked in corporate. Like, when I hear that phrase, I'm like, right, fucking hell.
Yeah. I mean, some things, you just don't know things
about this. I feel the same about when I worked in the public sector.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, yeah, fuck off. Which is awful.
Yeah.
But
it's not awful, because it's like, you wouldn't go to a personal trainer and they start talking about like how to fix a car, would you? That would be mental. So it's just like, It's a horse. It's not for this course. You know?
But I guess the point you were making, and this is something I'm very guilty of, is like, especially if you've got a lot of shit going on in your own head, you distract yourself by helping loads of other people,
100%.
and then find yourself no further along than you were at the start, and yet you've helped loads of people, so you feel like shit as well. And actually, the best thing is, like Andy calls this, putting your own oxygen mask on first. That like, until you've got your own shit in order, your help will go unnoticed anyway. So don't do it. Yeah,
I feel like that's when knowing yourself is a really, really valuable thing. So I'm like a big proponent of doing like wiring and strength assessments. I think it's really, really empowering. And if you do those and you have strengths that are really on the empathy side of the spectrum, having that awareness of yourself that you're likely to go down that route is really powerful.
Yeah, exactly that. And like, I guess a key indicator if you're one of those people is if you've always got advice for others, but you're not following your own advice, you haven't got your shit in order.
No.
Which, you know, we all fall into that. That's not me.
No.
I'm not throwing barbs at people. It's a trait, but I think on a business accountability level, it's like, don't ask other businesses to do something that you wouldn't do yourself.
No.
So like one of the things I do in MTS sessions with clients is I'll be like, have you asked for referrals? No. Well, why not? And then if they tell me, well, do you ask for referrals? Yeah, all the time. Or like, have you ever picked up the phone to anyone? No. Why not? And it's just that little bit of like testing comfort zones.
What's authenticity?
I don't know. Don't like that word.
Overused. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's another one of those A words that is overused, but you can't.
So like, I've massively struggled with being my authentic self, because my authentic self is like sweary and geeky and a bit weird and a bit of an in-betweener, like not quite a sporty jock, not quite a geek, not quite like a metalhead. I'm not quite sure what I am, and I don't really care anymore. But it took me ages to realise I didn't care.
I understand that definitely. I love this.
My immediate peers can't quite figure out why the hell I would be going to a heavy metal festival in Vegas on my own for my birthday.
Oh really?
And I'm like, because I can, bucket list baby, let's go.
Well, for sure.
It's really weird.
No, I get it.
But I will come back a more confident person for having done that.
Oh god,
And that's what I'm trying to sort of explain to people. It's like, I'm not comfortable doing that. Like, it's weird. It is out of my comfort zone. But it'll be great.
And I'm going to Miami on my own in August, and so hopefully Friday they change.
11th of May.
Oh, what date is today? It's not the 11th, it's the 5th.
The 11th, it's Thursday.
Please change your rules, America.
It's meant to be the 11th of April, wasn't it?
It was 8.
Yeah, because some people were going to come to America with me, and now they can't.
So 11th of May, here we come. But if Friday all goes well, it's supposed to go into Miami. So
is that for 10X?
It's for 10X ladies.
10X ladies. Do they get to speak at that?
I don't know.
Because they don't tell you, do they?
They don't tell you.
Who have they had at previous ones?
I don't know. So it's Elena's conference, but I don't know who.
They've literally had like Trump at like the other 10X.
Yeah, like the most serious of people. Yes.
Can you imagine if you were like sat there and it's Michelle Obama or something?
Pretty crazy. I wouldn't be that surprised, to be honest.
So that's the level, though, right?
It is a level. There is no level higher.
I'm trying to think who else is like a female influencer.
Oprah.
Yeah, Oprah would be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be off the scale mental, wouldn't it, Oprah?
Yeah, just to be in that room.
Like I've spent time with like Marie Forleo. She's done a lot of work with Oprah, and it's another level of thinking again. It's like there's a level of like philanthropy in their thinking that is like, in terms of making the world a better place. Bloody Laura. Yeah, that would be wild.
I know, right? Yeah.
Who do you want to be speaking there?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm pretty excited about Elena. I would love it if Grant made an appearance. That'd be pretty fucking.
Well,
I don't know. Don't know. You know. Hopefully. Oh, who else would I like to be there? Tell you what, Brody Daly from the Distillers. That would be good.
I don't know what you just said.
Lead singer of the band, the Distillers.
That's like your favourite band.
I don't know if they'd say my favourite, but definitely an idol of mine for sure. Yeah, lead singer of a rock band. She's got 3 kids. Still doing it. She's got a song called "Meet the Fetus" about finding out you're pregnant, and it's a rock song with Shirley Manson from Garbage. I mean, what's not to like? Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I don't know if she does that kind of gig, but yeah, that'd be pretty awesome.
Imagine if like that, they went for that.
Oh my God,
That's what's so
that'd be
funny
so
about
exciting.
VCon is like, 1 minute I'll be like watching a talk by Deepak Chopra, and the next minute, Busta Rhymes is doing a set. It's like
That's so mental.
messes with my head.
Yeah.
But I wanted everyone to come to VCon this year, but America didn't change the rules in time.
No.
And you can like literally pick up tickets for $120.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is life changing. It
Yeah.
is like ridiculous. Right,
Right.
we have blabbered on. I have 2 more questions.
Go for it.
I ask everyone these questions on the podcast.
Go for it.
Question number 1 is, what's the best mistake you've ever made?
Best mistake I've ever made. Gosh.
Long pauses in podcasts go really well.
I'm sure they do. Everyone loves it. Think it's broken, right? I am going to say the best mistake I ever made was getting hit by a car on my bike,
Okay, why?
because I had a minor injury. Never had a broken bone, minor injury, and I got just shy of $4,000 in damages, and that enabled me to pay for my personal training qualification, which I'd already committed to paying on a credit card because I was doing it regardless, and that enabled me to pay it off. So I feel like the universe was showing up and saying, "Hey, we're behind this thing."
By getting you run over, so cool. Okay. No one's ever said that.
Well, there you go.
I got run over. That was the best mistake I ever made. No, nice. What's your favourite film and why?
My favourite film is Blue is the Warmest Colour.
No one knows what it is.
It is a French film. I think it came out about 2006.
Cultured, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not really though, to be honest, but this makes me sound really intellectual.
Yeah, this is like, oh, it's an art film from France.
It is. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah. So I just think it is the most beautiful depiction of human love and loss
Really?
that I've ever experienced. It's so raw. It was the actress, I think
What's it called?
Blue is the Warmest Colour. So Adele, I think you say her surname, Exarchopoulos.
Is there an English version of this film?
No. Maybe obviously get a dubbed one or a subtitle.
No, as in like, has it been remade?
I'm not aware that it has.
I'm gonna look this up afterwards.
Not aware that it has. It's on Netflix right now. They've just put it back on. Yeah, she's in another film. She's been in a film for ages. She's in a film coming up soon, and I'm excited. She's quite something.
Okay. And why is it your favourite?
I just think it's stunning. You know when you like you're exposed to something and you feel so grounded in your humanity, and it just like breaks down any barriers of day-to-day bullshit. Being reminded that you're a human who loves things, and sometimes things get broken. It's just, you know that feeling when you're a teenager and you fall in love for the first time.
Yeah, I've tried to like put that to the back of my mind.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm not triggered. I just like, I was a very emotional teenager,
Yeah.
and so I felt things a lot.
Yeah.
And
Isn't that a good thing?
no, like
No?
no, I wish I didn't now.
Oh,
You know, like
that's a really good
I think it's
thing.
particularly for blokes,
Okay.
because there's a lot of like fuckboy style blokes, for want of a better phrase, who just didn't seem to give a shit.
Yes, yes.
I gave a shit so bad
Yeah.
that like it like properly messed me up for like a long time.
No, I get it. I feel the opposite. I feel well, I suppose there's a whole other conversation there, isn't there, in terms of like masculine and feminine energy balance and stuff. I feel like the ability to feel is the reminder that you're alive. And it's so easy to get deadened into the reality of the routine and the mundane.
But that like, as a sort of sign-off point-ish, that whole like listening to society and letting and numbing all the things you feel because society told you to, so not being too competitive, not setting big visions, not voicing your ambition, not falling in love hard, like all those things that people say, oh, you know, don't get too involved because you'll only get your heart broken. So fuck all that. Like, just feel it and go through it. Like, that'll bode well in business if you just like take the risk.
100%.
So, on that note, how does someone get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website is blackandbluebusiness.co.uk. You can reach me on Instagram, either Black and Blue Business or Amy Bingham UK, and LinkedIn, really active on LinkedIn. Again, Amy Bingham.
Cool. Amy, you've been a wicked guest. Thanks for coming on. You've been listening to the Stay Hungry podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share, leave us a review. I'll love you forever. Visit andyandjoel.com if you want to know more about our coaching. We'd love to hear from you. Take care, everyone.